Quickly to another division in Scotland. The Alloa chairman, Mike Mulroney, says there's been massive interest in the vacant manager's position since Paul Hartley resigned following the 5-1 hammering at home to Dumbarton. Of course, you know, Des, you mentioned it and broke it on the programme on Saturday. Nobody more shocked than myself. Paul does not seem to me to be one of those people who would quit. But clearly, back-to-back promotions, and they're sitting 8th in the Championship. They've dipped over the last 3 or 4 weeks. He obviously thought, I've done all I can.
Yeah, and I think Paul has to take great credit for being as open as that with his chairman and with the Alloa fans. You know, I think he had said that he thought long and hard about it. It wasn't a knee-jerk reaction to losing to Dumbarton 5-1. And I just think he feels that, you know, the time's right to step back from it, give somebody else I think the word he used was to re-energiate or regenerate the players, you know, really have a go and try and help them out and try and get them back up the league a bit, because they were looking very good for a playoff place, which is quite incredible for Alloa getting into that division. And they're still just sitting, you know, 2 points off of that. So
yeah, and they've got a fair cushion away from Cowdenbeath.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think 10 points there, and Morton a further 5 back. So, no, I don't think it would be a concern that they were going to slip into the bottom 2 positions. I just think Paul personally feels that he's spent 2.5 seasons absolutely working miracles there.
Yeah,
and it does take a strain personally as well. You know, and he's just needing a wee step back from it. I think he said he was going to take a little break and then get back into it. But what a job he's done, and yeah, really, really surprising. But you know, fair play to him making the decision.
And we were talking about trains stopping at stations. Of course, I think the Inverness job kind of threw him that he didn't get it. I think that was a blow to him. Sometimes there's a perfect time to leave a club, and he didn't get the chance to leave at that point.
Yeah, it's a strange one to me, Peter, because in one of his articles he said that he'd been thinking about it for a couple of weeks. Now we interviewed him a couple of weeks right after the game.
Yeah,
he came up into the commentary and he had a chat with us and he sounded positive, and I think his team played quite well that day. You know, so it's a big decision to come off that roundabout, because there's lots of people out there not on a job. You know, and it's not as if there's a lot of jobs come begging, and we've saw a lot of guys getting right out of the game for a year or a year and a half, and I don't know what his expectations is of which team he would want to get back into, but sometimes when you make a decision like that, it could backfire on you.
Well, absolutely, but to his credit, I mean, I got the real sense from him that day at Falkirk that, you know, there was no money to push the club on. Again, you know, there are teams around him being able to pull in loan signings to be able to make the odd signing. He couldn't do that.
He has taken Alloa as far as Alloa can go. I don't even think anyone else will take him further. You know, I think Mike Mulroney, the chairman, is a businessman first and foremost. He's got Alloa Athletic and Alloa, the community, at the forefront of his minds, but he's not daft about it. You know, he's not going to spend money that he probably could afford, but he works to the budgets. And I think what Paul has achieved there is miraculous.
Yeah.
To get them into that division on the budget that they were on, and also getting them, you know, towards the playoff places for the Premiership. I mean, it's just bamboozling. But I think you're absolutely right. If Paul felt that, you know, he needed to push the boat out a little bit, Mike Mulroney's not the kind of guy, I know Mike personally, he's not the kind of guy that, you know, is going to bend to someone else's whim or someone else's wants. He's a very driven man, very, very focused, and from that perspective, you know, he'll have his strategy for the club.
Yeah, and this is Mike's take on the boss to suit the job.
We've had massive interest. We've had very, very many applications already from the very highest calibre of candidates. We're sitting at the moment, we've had an unprecedented amount of applications already, so we're sure we'll appoint the right person.
And that backs up your point, Roughie. There are so many good managers out there with a good CV. The one thing I think I would say that's to the credit of Paul Hartley, and you know, something that managers and maybe other clubs will look at, he has managed to get them back-to-back promotions. He has worked the wonders. He's still a young manager. His financial demands are not going to be huge.
No, they're not going to be huge, Peter, but as Des has touched on, he's left a club like Alloa. He saw the day-to-day runnings of a club and where he can take them and the money restrictions and all that carry on. So you would have to say if he's coming back into the game, he's going to be wanting something better than Alloa. He's probably not wanting to put himself through, although he's enjoyed it probably, the 2.5 years that he's had, and he'll be looking for a club with bigger ambitions, and they don't come along that often.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, right now, Paddy Connolly will take temporary charge until a replacement is found. But Mike Mulroney said at this moment they're in safe hands with Paddy.
He's an outstanding assistant manager. He doesn't want to be considered for the full-time post, but he's more than capable of looking after our team. And we might appoint somebody in 2 or 3 days. We might not appoint somebody for 2 or 3 weeks. But in the meantime, Paddy's the man.
And Paddy deserves that chance, to take over. I'm sure he's spoken to Paul, and Paul's, said to him, absolutely, you help out until such times as the club get the new manager in place. Paddy's been involved, he's been an intrinsic part of Paul's management team. He's been involved in football since he was 16, Dundee United, right down through the clubs that he's played for and been coaching at. And Paddy will certainly be a safe pair of hands for the players. Going back to the number of candidates, it doesn't surprise me at all, Peter, if you consider that Queen's Park, my understanding was that the first interview process they whittled down to 12 people. They're then looking to get, and it's 12 names, guys that have managed or are well known. You're then looking at that getting brought down to a kind of short list of 3 or 4.
Yeah,
Alloa will be no different, and from where they're sitting, comfortably mid-table, looking to push into the playoffs and the championship, then there will be a huge amount of interest in that job.
Yeah, absolutely. We will watch with great interest to see exactly who emerges as the front runner, the favourite for that job from all the applicants that Mike Mulroney has highlighted have landed on his desk.